So, our speaker, Brother Danilo Lazić, is a retired aerospace engineer who spent the majority of his career working at the Pentagon, working on the missile defense system under the Reagan administration. If anyone knows about the missile defense system, it was called Star Wars. If you have any questions about that, I'm sure he's open to ask those maybe later on a more personal interaction. Today, he's going to share his information, his knowledge, his depth of knowledge on quantum mechanics, physics, that it's above my knowledge. He's been blowing my mind the last 48 hours. And if he does the same to you over the next half hour or so, we will have a Q&A period where we will have anonymous questions sent in. You'll be shown how you can put them on the screen. We'll have moderators managing the discussion as well. So take notes while he speaks. If you have questions, he would be happy to answer as many as he can later on. I hope we are all blessed with his presentation.
Hvala and dobro večer. Ako mogu imati tražili su da objasnim ovaj chart što sam pokazao i pre, a mogli imati onaj slide 1? Onaj drugi. Slide 1. No, that's it. That is not the one. I mean, I'll go back to the other that was this morning. We had, what I had, like what you saw this morning, part of it is from general relativity. Part of it is from what is now leading theory, how our universe began, and part of it is this part here is simply from general theory relativity, which I plotted only one dimension. This is four-dimensional distance formula between any two events in our universe. But I cannot plot the four, so I plotted only one part, which shows this is our past. We live right here in the center. We are traveling into future, but we cannot see the future. We travel into future, but we cannot see. We see entire our past, but we are forbidden to travel into our past. So we are stuck in the middle. That's where we stand. This here is from the inflationary universe theory, because Big Bang could not always create the universe as we see it. Most of the time, in simulation, it would create a black hole. So they had to come up with some kind of explanation. So this is called inflationary theory. It says that a universe, rather than beginning with matter, it began with creation of time from nothing. So creation of universe is creation of time, as Paul said in Hebrews chapter 11, in the beginning God created aionas, in Greek, times, ages. And then as time began to flow, if time flows, we really don't know. If there is error of time, we do not know, but we usually take the time passes. And as time passes, space expanded. That itself releases an enormous amount of energy, which is called pure energy. You can create pure energy only in atom accelerators, smashers, in accelerators. We could not create at any place. When such an energy, because the universe is expanding at the speed of light, the energy is at the speed of light. When that slows down to below speed of light, or science says when it cools off, then it becomes hydrogen matter. And then stars fuse hydrogen into helium, helium in higher elements, and higher, so we get all the elements we need here. So that is what theory said. So time space is, we say from nothing. What that means is that very beginning of it appears to be in another physics. It is not in our universe. We cannot get to zero, time equals zero. And even if we try it, simply our physics doesn't work well there. So they say that is the beginning. And the beginning was, and that's why they developed idea of multiverse. Because right here, this one here is our universe where we really live, which is like these regions here are inaccessible to us, but they are part of the universe, but just we cannot access them. And so here we may have two parts, probably. One is reality in which we live right now, and one is what we call anti-reality, in which we cannot go. Maybe someday we will. But that's what main point of that theory is, that it is from nothing, and it had to be by an intelligent choice. Intelligent choice or intelligent decision had to be made before creation of the universe. That's the point, and studies have been done on it, and no different conclusion. It is still that way. It is still that way. Professor Vilenkin spent years studying and trying to see what it is, and his conclusion came to be that it is, he called it literally ex nihilo, which means from nothing. So that, so there's really no yet sufficiently viable argument to say that it is not so. So far it still is. But the main part of it is that this place here fairly recently was observed that is being governed by 6 numbers, which I mentioned this morning, Lolo, but I didn't give you values of it. So now if we get to those numbers, you can see the value, and I'll talk about. Can I have the other one? First 3 and then second. What we have is, like we have inside each atom, regardless of what element. Inside atom there are protons and there are neutrons and there are electrons. So gravitational attraction between protons and electrical repulsion, because protons are charged by +1 electricity. So if you have 2 protons, they're +1, they repel, but then gravitational influence contracts. The ratio between those 2 forces is fixed, regardless of how far apart we put protons. Because it is that they both very same, 1 divided by distance squared, but you cannot change that by even a very, very small number. Universe wouldn't exist if you do so. It must be that. And why it must be that? They are non-dimensional. No one predicted that. We cannot really measure or determine why. It just must be that. Then efficiency. Our sun is converting hydrogen into helium at the rate of 0.007%. That is its efficiency. On Earth, if we were to generate electricity by fusion process, our accelerator, reactor, which is in work, but it'll take time, would have to be 38% efficient in order to produce energy that we need. But sun is only 0.07 efficient, and yet it provides sufficient energy to support life on this planet. But that is, if that efficiency were 0.06 or 0.008, nothing would exist. We couldn't live here. So that is, it is extremely critical, and that's what puzzles scientists. Why is it so critical? Then there is density of matter in universe. Original Big Bang theory claimed that universe began by explosion of matter. If that happened that way, then at some point logic said that universe must collapse back on itself. So what would it take for our universe to collapse on itself is that we have 5 atoms per each cubic meter of universe. But then we take all the matter in universe that we observe, all the objects, if we divide all that into atoms, we would have only 1 atom per 10 cubic meters of universe. So it's not even near what is needed. So they cannot understand, why is so little matter. So they come up with dark matter, with dark energy, but only that is really dark. So we really don't know. That is, it most likely universe is that ratio of density which always remain like that. Especially if we accept that universe will expand forever. Many scientists do not see it expanding forever, but it looks like that must be so. Then we have a cosmological constant. It's fairly recently, in 1990s, they became aware really that much about it. That one is, if you do positive and negative additions to that constant, they cancel out to 120 digits of accuracy. But if you do them to 121, it just falls apart. And they don't know why it would not go. It must be as 1 times 10 to the power of 120. So that is the puzzle. But what is also recently, we see that lambda, it's called, because Einstein had a lambda, he noticed in his theories that universe is expanding, but Jewish belief was in a static universe, fixed. So he called it fudge factor, put lambda, but applied positive sign, negative sign to it to cause forces of expansion to collapse. But when he realized that universe is expanding, he called this greatest blunder of his life. But we've discovered that it is there. He just made mistake in a sign. That this is indicating that universe will be expanding forever. Then we have galaxies in our universe. Nebulas. We have smaller complexes. But how much force does it take to break any complex in our universe? That's critical indication what it is. It's 1 times 10 to, if you can say 1 times 10 to power minus 5, and it must always remain that. It cannot change. That's what's significant in this. And then our 3 dimensions of space. You and I couldn't live in 2 dimensions, and we could not live in 4 dimensions. 3 dimensions is what we need. Well, I consider most significant is that this lambda, the cosmological constant, the force to break up objects, and 3 dimensions, they had to be selected. These values of it had to be selected by an intelligence before creation of the universe. So that leads that there is a final observer from the other chart this morning that I spoke this morning, that there is final observer who is not in this universe, who made an intelligent choice or intelligent selection of the values of these parameters in our universe, that makes universe so fine-tuned for our existence. So that final observer had in mind of putting us at some point in time, putting us into this universe. So he prepared the universe that can support us as an intelligent life and no other. So there is no one else in our universe. We are it. That's our home, and we are alone. But don't feel lonely. There's plenty of us. You know, there's no. You couldn't talk to other intelligence anyway. You know, it's just not that easy. So we are okay. Universe is very, very big, and we are here. Many people consider that we are located in a privileged spot in this universe, but we are not. No matter where you go in universe, it would appear that you are insane. You're in center, but we are not in the center of the universe. But that is how it appears in four-dimensional space-time. No matter where you stand and look around you, you would see, just like people in old time, before they knew that Earth is really sphere, is round, they would stand and see a circle like this. And in the Bible you find it said, over circle of the earth. So they thought they're just a flat piece of rock floating on water as a circle, and heaven tied to it. It's just holding heaven so it doesn't fly off. That's how they thought. And they looked. So the whole universe appears to us that way. Why? We don't know. And it's puzzling scientists. These 6 numbers are the really key factor why many scientists are concluding that there is at least a probability that Creator exists, because there is no other answer to it. So they are some are hoping they'll find some answer, but so far, it's been going on now for 2-3 decades, back and forth, and no one has come up with anything better than this. And so that's where we are. The new theory is being developed, quantum theory. These numbers are not a part of any theory so far, not predicted by it, so it cannot be part of a new theory that's being developed, or better theory they call, but they're working on it now. So they cannot include that as prediction because we did not make it. Some intelligence outside our universe, which to us is God, has made a selection of these numbers. To scientists, it's ultimate intelligence, or I then in that sense call it absolute intelligence. To me, absolute sounds better than ultimate, or final observer, because we are an intelligent being. We can observe, just like you have this building. You and I can, let's say, if we are just inside all the time and we don't go outside, we can do interior decorating, but we cannot do anything to outside of the building. That's what universe is. You can imagine that it is some kind of like a building, even though it's going at speed of light out at all times, but we cannot get outside to work on it from the outside. We are inside, and we can do interior decorating inside, but the final observer is needed outside to maintain building itself. We maintain rooms inside the building, but he maintains building itself. So that's how you can, if you want to make it easy on yourself and look at, we just paint and decorate inside, and he builds a building itself. Does not on these numbers we don't have any really more to explain unless they are what they are. The number you see here, the actual figure, that figure cannot vary, so it must remain that. And it's made. All this is made. With a specific purpose, or there was a reason for it. It did not come by chance. In our universe is very young for anything to occur by chance. it is possible that things can get what they are by chance, but the universe would have to be much, much older than it is for that to happen. Right now, it is estimated with a 99% accuracy. It's 13.82 billion light years in radius, and that is way too young. It's that many years, a light year, then you can call 1 year. And light year is about almost 10 billion kilometers, 9.6 something billion kilometers. So that's 1 year, and so 13 billion years is way too young for all practical purposes. So that's why it cannot. Now, evolution by natural selection in our universe, as this anthropic cosmology determines, is in violation of the law. Evolution by adaptation we can accept, but evolution by natural selection could not occur in our universe according to anthropic cosmology. So that much is, and so far no one has refuted that, and we'll see where it goes in future. But if anybody argues that things came into existence by natural selection, then that violates the law which governs our universe.